Hello everyone and welcome to the Week 30 edition of Instant Replay, where I give you my take on the most controversial calls of the weekend. I'm Simon Borg. We start with the big match in LA, Sounders versus Galaxy, and the first incident came in the 16th minute. Sean Franklin rams into the back of Obafemi Martins, who's waiting on a ball to fall for him in the box. No penalty called here, but the fact that Martins also flops to exaggerate the contact, I think costs him the PK. Next, the controversial goal by Eddie Johnson, which saw a pick applied to Galaxy defender Omar Gonzalez. But forget the pick. The foul here is the two-handed shove by Eddie Johnson on Gonzalez. But it was never going to be whistled because look at the position of referee Silvio Petrescu, who could not have seen it. Now to the 60th minute and the Gyasi Zardes goal that was called back. Let's get one thing clear. There is a foul called on the play and the whistle by Petrescu comes before Zardes pokes it home. Where was the foul? Well, it looks to be LA veteran Todd Donovan committing the infraction here, although Donovan says he, quote, definitely didn't do anything. But his hands were all over Lamar Nagel. I think it's a good call by Petrescu. There can be no question about the second yellow shown to Seattle's Zach Scott, who takes down Laurent Courtois as he's heading into the box in the 90th minute. Scott will have to sit out next weekend's big match against the top team in the East, the New York Red Bulls. It's a New York team that got a couple of breaks in Sunday's 1-0 win over FC Dallas, and we're not just talking about the own goal by Eric that decided it. In the very first minute, Tim Cahill was graced, in my opinion, by referee Matthew Forster. This tackle on Blas Perez could have been a leg breaker, but he doesn't get a card. Excessive force worthy of a red, in my opinion. I know Cahill has been on the wrong end of these same tackles, but that's no excuse. And then there was the handball committed by New York defender Jamison Olave in the second half on this header by David Ferreira. For me, that should have resulted in a penalty, but it wasn't called. Now, I think the Red Bulls should have had a penalty of their own in this one. To me, Eric undercuts Fabian Espindola, who's going up for this header in the 39th minute. That would have been a foul in midfield, and for me, it's also a foul in the box. But Forster doesn't call it. Moving to Portland, Colorado from Friday night, and here too we see another hard challenge early in the game. Just like that Cahill foul on Perez at Red Bull Arena, it's almost as if players are trying to test the referee's will to issue a red card in the opening minutes. In this case, it's the second minute, and Atiba Harris going in hard on Portland's Diego Chara. But the replays don't give us a clear look at how the challenge happened. We only know he got a yellow from referee Eladio Grajeda. Still, those early hard fouls are a trend to keep an eye on. There were plenty more controversial calls in Montreal, but there's no doubt about the Whitecaps penalty kick in the 6th minute. Hassan Kamara clearly extends his left arm to deflect this shot by Matt Watson. Yes, he may have been slightly off balance, but it looks deliberate to me by Kamara. And Vancouver's Kenny Miller puts the Caps up early. In the 37th minute, Montreal's Marco Di Vaio wanted a penalty kick of his own, and I think he was right. Vancouver defender Carlisle Mitchell makes a lunge for the ball, and although he touches the ball, he also goes through Di Vaio, and I think he fouls him on the follow-through. But that's not the incident that had the impact up in arms. Just 1 minute later, referee Jorge Gonzalez initially awards a penalty kick for a handball on the line by Vancouver's June Marcus Davidson. But then Gonzalez appears to consult with the fourth official and reverses the call. Now, after the game, Gonzalez says he used, quote, input from the entire referee crew to make the final call. But Montreal owner Joey Saputo argued via Twitter that, PK or not, how does the furthest official on the field overturn a referee's call? Here's my take. It doesn't matter who the ref gets help from. What does matter is getting the call right, and Gonzalez and his crew did that, in my opinion. Staying in Canada and shifting to Toronto, where there's plenty to chew on. First, in the 34th minute, does Chance Myers commit a handball in the box? Sure, I see an arm that's flailing, but at no point in the video do we see a ball touching Myers' arm. Good call by referee Alan Chapman not to whistle there. But 2 minutes later, I thought there could have been a red card shown in this game. Sporting KC defender Aurélien Collin, who's already on a yellow card, recklessly sends his right arm into the face of Toronto's Alvaro Rey. Chapman eventually calls the foul after consulting with his assistant, but if you're calling that foul, I think you have to give the yellow. But Collin gets off scot-free. Moving into the second half, and CJ Sapong wanted a penalty called after he went down with Stephen Caldwell on his back. The best angle we have is the real-time look, and if we slow that down, it looks like Caldwell is bear-hugging Sapong before letting go at the last second. We don't have an ideal angle, but that looked pretty incriminating to me. Chapman doesn't call it. Caldwell would eventually see a straight red card with 4 minutes remaining for this dangerous studs-up challenge on Josh Gardner, who beats him to the ball. That's a good call. Caldwell doesn't even try to pull his leg back on that one, and that's endangering the safety of your opponent. Caldwell would be joined by manager Ryan Nelson and assistant Fran O'Leary after the referee dismissed both coaches in a matter of a few seconds for protests following the absence of a penalty call. I side with the coaches on this one. Cahill clearly pushes Justin Braun in the box just as he was sizing up a header. And Cahill wasn't even looking at the ball, but no call was made. There was no whistle in the 6th minute in Columbus when Agustin Viana clears this ball but also delivers a high boot that makes contact with the head of Juan Luis Alangono. According to Law 12, that's a foul and a penalty kick when it happens in the box, but referee Juan Guzman decides to let play continue. And the Fire had another PK claim in the 16th minute. Dilly Duke is in the box with the ball at his feet, and he's looking to fire off a shot on goal, but Chad Barson looks to clatter into him from behind. We don't have a replay or a clear look, but from the wide shot, it looked suspicious. If that wasn't a turning point in the match, this surely was. It's the 29th minute and Bakary Soumare is sent off for Chicago, and he knows it. It's the denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity. He doesn't get the ball and gets all of Jairo Arrieta. That's a straight red. Good call by Guzman there. Arrieta was also fouled on the play that led to the penalty kick, which helped seal the result for Columbus. It's the 68th minute, and the Costa Rican beats Chicago goalkeeper Sean Johnson to this ball. Yes, Arrieta also probably seeks out the contact, but it's there, and the penalty kick is legit. I also agree with no card being given to Sean Johnson on the play. Ball's going out of play and away from the goal, and it's not really a reckless tackle. Well handled by Guzman. Now to something that will likely be handled by the disciplinary committee. Crew 4 Dominic Oduro is so happy he's just scored a goal, he wants a bite of his favorite Papa John's pizza. It might be an expensive bite if the committee treats him like they did Aleko Eskandarian back in 2006. Remember his celebration against the New York Red Bulls when he drank some Red Bull and spit it out? Well, he was fined $250 for, quote, inappropriate conduct. Will Papa John's pick up the tab for Oduro if and when it comes? Next to Houston, where there was an ugly tackle in the 41st minute. Look at how Houston's Bobby Boswell and Chivas USA's Carlos Alvarez go in for this ball. For me, they're both endangering the safety of their opponent, and I would have gone with a double red card. Referee Fotis Bazakos only punishes Alvarez with a yellow. And just 3 minutes later, the Goats should have been down 2 men in my opinion. After tripping up Brad Davis, Chivas USA's Mario De Luna kicks out at him for no apparent reason. The ball's ahead of him at that point, not behind him, so no reason for the backward motion. He doesn't make contact, but the Dynamo bench saw it clearly, and they appeal to the 4th official, Jair Marufo. But no cards are shown on the play. Another player I thought should have seen red at BBVA Campus Stadium, Chivas USA's Osvaldo Minda. He stops this ball on the line using his arm. And while Bazakos awards the penalty kick, that's also denial of a goal-scoring opportunity to me, and as such, as harsh as it is, it should have been punished with a red card. Next to New England, where there were 2 penalty kicks whistled in favor of the Revolution. First, in the 55th minute, Dejan Jakovic is called for a foul on Lee Win. Although Jakovic protests vehemently, and yes, he did get ball, he also goes through the player and trips him up. Similar to the Mitchell play on DeVayo, which I thought should have been a penalty in Montreal. I think the penalty was the right call in New England, but Win can't convert. Inside the last 10 minutes, Win is fouled again in the box. This time, DC's Luis Neal doesn't even get anywhere close to the ball, and it's a stone-cold PK. Win gets a second chance at the spot. This time he doesn't miss. Revs win 2-1. But there were questions about their first goal. Was Diego Fagundes offside on this through ball? Well, when we freeze frame it, Fagundes does look ahead of the last defender, DC's Chris Korb, who's pushing up to drop him offside. I'll say it again, I feel this is the toughest call to make in soccer, but it didn't help that assistant referee Peter Manikowski was not in the best position to see it. And lastly, we go back to Red Bull Arena for yet another colorful moment from those first-place Red Bulls. Remember last week we showed you how Bradley Wright Phillips reacted when he did not get the penalty kick call he wanted. A little peck on the cheek for Toronto's Stephen Caldwell, the alleged perpetrator of the foul. But this week, Thierry Henry did him one better after he was rear-ended by Dallas defender Michel. Henry didn't really appreciate it, but why get angry when you can just dance your worries away? TT shows us how, making light of the butt check with a dance that has already proven to be one of the favorite videos of the year. That's all we have for this week. For editor Albert Lanzillo, I'm Simon Borg. See you next time.